Hello, hello. Hello, Internet. Hello, world. Very good morning. It's early
Hello,
morning
world.
for you.
That's a good way to start off.
So, yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us here at Code It Live. Happy Thursday. So, welcome to the dotNET Dev Show. It's Thursday, which means we get to do some cool stuff with dotNET. And thankfully, you're not going to see me code today. I'm going to be your host, Sam Basu, here. With me, I have a very good friend and the awesome Mr. Dan Siegel. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been crazy lately.
Yeah. It's been crazy is good in these times. And folks in the chat room, I see you're starting to come up. You can see like Dan and me are just hanging out in the same house. We just have like two identical rooms in two floors. We're just hanging out in the same place.
Comes right off a factory line, it's kit house or something.
Well, we're talking Prism updates here with Dan, and Dan is a fan of like design patterns. So it's like a house factory that keeps churning out the same backgrounds.
I like factory patterns. What can I say?
John Batchelor. Yeah. Good morning, campers. Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. All right. So, Dan, do you want to introduce yourself real quick? Like, we know you, but still.
I always hate that question. I never know what to say. I'm just like, I write code. I do some stuff.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's all that matters. So obviously, I kind of help with Prism. Been working on Prism for, good God, probably 5 years now. I don't know where the time goes.
And thank you for that, by the way. Like the whole community appreciates what you do, and also like your fellow partner in crime, Mr. Brian Lagunas, who's a good friend of ours.
Yes.
So Dan is in West Coast in the Americas. I'm in the East Coast. 3 hours of time difference. So thank you for waking up early, which I don't know, like probably is like mid-morning for you anyways, because you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't know why.
Dog jumps on me.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's very aggressive. Like, start smacking me in the face at 5.
just wake up. It's the same with our kid, and I don't go to bed until like 1 a.m. in the morning almost every day, and then the kid is up at 6, and like I don't want to be up now. Anyways, what do you do? So
nothing you can do. Accept it.
Yeah, exactly. So we were on a stream right here on a Thursday, I think 1 or 2 weeks back, and Dan was around, and so were all of the Xamarin folks. And folks were clamoring about what's happening with Prism. We haven't heard Prism update in a while, so here you are.
I'm busy.
So do you want to kind of lay the context? I see you're sharing your desktop as well. I'm happy to bring that up anytime you want.
I can bring something up, I guess. I'm trying to think what is there to talk about. So we had the Prism 8 release, I think at the beginning of the year. I can't keep track of time anymore. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I'm not even working with Americans right now. I'm like working with people outside of the US. So I don't even know what bloody day it is, to be totally transparent here.
I'll share something here. I just got this morning. I got acceptance. Like, since everything is virtual, which in a way is nice because like we can work across time zones and people with all across the world. So I got accepted to a conference with the little caveat that it's at 3 in the morning. So I have to wake up at 3 in the morning and speak. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Well, you said you don't go to bed till 1, so just stay up another 2 hours.
Might as well just like stay up. And time bender, that's kind of a relevant handle to what we're talking about here. And in the chat room is our good friend Sultan Burnham. Hello, sir. We are going to see you in probably an hour or so today. We are doing something, Dan, called Love Connection on Code It Live, which is to celebrate Valentine's Day, and we are building Valentine's Day themed apps, and we have broken ourselves off into 2 teams. And Sultan Burnham, me, and one of my coworkers, we are Team Grinch, so we're going to try to ruin it for everybody. Yeah, time bender. No, it's not the same background. We are literally in the same house. Same house, just like 2 stories. We have the same fireplace, same piano. Just
ordered from the same manufacturer, you know.
Yes, same exact house.
Yeah, same tiny home. I feel that way. I'm not claustrophobic, but right now with the green screen so close to me.
Yeah, you don't want to see our green screens off, so it's just mess and the thing's just hanging right behind our heads. Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so you started talking about Prism 8, but can you back up one step so folks who have never used Prism, what is it? When did this start? Where are we right now? What platforms do you support?
So Prism goes back to the WPF days. It was originally created by the Microsoft Patterns and Practices team. It's designed to give you the tooling to properly implement an MVVM pattern within the application framework that you're using. So obviously they started with WPF. It transitioned over to the community. I'm trying to remember now. I think 2014 or something, somewhere around
that late. Yeah.
Like I said, I can't keep track of time anymore. I think it was around then. Might have been a little bit sooner.
It may have been a little sooner.
Yeah, I know it was back in the CodePlex days, and then that all transitioned over to GitHub, obviously. Yep. So Brian Lagunas had kind of taken that on, and did some work with the early xamarin.forms. Bless his heart. I don't even know how any of us did apps with the 1.0. It was, I look at that rough code now and I'm like, wow, we did this. It's come so far. But he had come out with the early Prism adaptation for xamarin.forms. And, I was an early adopter of that and really excited by everything that was going on. So, I kept saying, hey, Brian, this is awesome, but, could you do this? He said, that's a great idea. Can you send me a PR?
It's open source. Might as well.
It's open source. Send me a PR. And, I honestly, I don't know how he did not just block me entirely, but I started sending him some PRs. They started getting accepted, and next thing several years later, here I am, a maintainer of the project. So it's not something I set out to do, but I love the framework. I love how it helps you to rapidly be able to develop an app in a maintainable, testable way. And that's a big thing, right? So I know a lot of people say that, they test their code, but they don't, right? Or you wish you could, but you're not sure how. One of the biggest things I've found is even when you don't actually test the code, if you write the code in ways that are testable, you end up with better code, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, it's all about being able to implement these patterns and have code that's going to be testable, that's going to be maintainable. And there are a lot of things that, I see developers where they just end up with these monolithic projects that, I guess to pick on xamarin.forms a little bit, that look like the xamarin.forms repo, where it's just class after class after class, all in the same namespace. And what in the world is going on here? How do you maintain this, right? There's just so much going on. But Prism really does allow you to take this, and if you just take a little bit of time, you can build nice modular apps, something we're not really going to talk about too much today, but definitely encourage people to look that out. Modularity is another really awesome thing that I love using with my apps as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have said this many a times, but I will say it again, Dan. Like the open source community, like WPF developers, Xamarin developers, like we really appreciate what you do. Think about just how many apps that are enterprise, like big code bases that are using Prism. So we appreciate all of the work that you're putting in. Yeah. And folks, if you have not used Prism at all, like this is MVVM design pattern, like model view model, which traditionally has worked very well for XAML C# code bases. Started with WPF. You can do it for. You used to be able to do it for Silverlight. I think you still can. Like, don't build Silverlight apps anymore this year, hopefully. But UWP and WinUI and xamarin.forms, it's all the same type of code base that you're talking about. So that's Prism, and things have come a long way. And you guys had a Prism 8 release earlier this year. So
we sure did.
What were some of the highlights?
Regions is a big one. I guess I'll have to back up a little bit. So in the Prism 6 days, we would use a dependency injection container, but we basically said, whatever you're going to do with that container, it's all about, that container. There is no, just trying to think how to explain it, but like we're not going to abstract it out. And so when we would write the docs, it would be for, typically Unity at that time. And then somebody would come along and say, well, how do I do it with AutoFac? How do I do it with dry IOC? And that just became very painful because, there definitely is this layering effect that, some people get that can be rather difficult, right? So we wanted to make that a little bit easier of a transition. So we actually abstracted out the inversion of control concept, right? So everything about registering and resolving your types, we abstracted in Prism. And that way, moving forward, anything that we showed was using our abstraction layer, and that would, in theory at least, right, should make it a lot easier for people. In Prism 8, we actually took those abstractions and we said, how can we make these more powerful? So just like you get that factory method that gave us both the same house this morning, you can provide factory methods now to give you your implementation. So, let's say that, you have some configuration that you have that you need, specific values from, and you need to pass that into your implementation. You can do that and then return your fully built implementation, still using DI in that process.
Cool. Dan, if we can hold that thought for just a second, I would like to see some of that in action. But sure. Ancient Coder, good to see you. And while you're talking, Copper Beardy raided with his party. So welcome, raiders. Thank you for joining us here at Code It Live. I'm Sam. This is Dan, and we're talking Prism for XAML and C# developers today. Dan is one of the maintainers, so he's talking about what's new in Prism 8, and that's a lot of IOC. I heard regions, which is not the regions that you write in your C# code, which you should probably be careful not to overuse, but a different type of region that lets you compose your views better.
Yes. So what I have here, and let me, this is actually the first time I opened up the demo version on this machine. So let me see if we can make the fonts a little bit bigger real quick, maybe. Let's see. Hopefully okay, there we go. Let's bump that to like 12 or something. That didn't do much. Okay. Anyway, so this is just a vanilla xamarin.forms app. What I'm going to do is install a couple packages right now. So I'm going to look at Prism Dry IOC, and you'll see there are a couple different things that pop up. You have just Prism Dry IOC. That's actually for WPF apps. It's kind of the one place we break our format here because WPF was first, so the package already existed. But you have Prism Dry IOC Forms. There's Prism Dry IOC Uno because we do support Uno platform as well. So I mean, you can really pick your flavor of how you want to build your apps. Do you want WPF? Do you want xamarin.forms? Do you want to use Uno platform? Soon, if the Xamarin team ever gets moving, we'll have Prism Maui. But I need a package. Everybody always asks that, so I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. When they give me a package to work with, I will do a Prism for Maui. Sure. But right now they can't even figure out what namespace to use.
Yeah. So I mean, they're juggling a lot of things. So folks, you heard it here first. Whenever Microsoft is ready with .NET Maui, which again, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, they are trying to figure out exactly what that means. You will have Prism support for Maui. So I did have one question here, Dan. Shoot. Like, you have the IOC containers broken out. Like, if I wasn't being careful, if I just got, like, is there a Prism package that includes everything? Or are you careful to kind of tree shake the ones that you don't need?
So yeah, we do kind of, like, everything is broken up. So you have the Prism core, which is completely agnostic to the application framework model that you want to use, right? So it doesn't care WPF, Uno, xamarin.forms, Maui, whatever. I guess you could go with Avalonia. They have, I guess, their own package that they've done as well. There is this Prism Dry IOC extensions, which is something that I release and I'll show as well today. But that actually uses why am I brain farting this morning? So it's just using like Prism core and then implements the dry IOC container. So that again doesn't care what platform or what application framework you want to use. These other packages like Prism Dry IOC Forms, this kind of is all encompassing. So this is Prism for Xamarin Forms with the dry IOC implementation. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, the extensions thing has 27K and the Forms one has 612K.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, in this extensions one is a lot newer, and I'll show you why this is becoming more and more popular as well. But let's go ahead and just kind of install this real quick.
And you started with a vanilla Xamarin Forms app, right?
Yep. This is vanilla Xamarin Forms. There's nothing Prism about this yet. Yep. So this is going to be the quote unquote hard way of doing it.
Yeah. No, you also have templates, right? Where you can start with the Prism thing. Yeah. Okay.
We do.
So, yeah.
Yep. And our templates, by the way, are open source. They're on GitHub. And they include some things that you don't normally get with the Xamarin Forms apps. So, for example, you're going to actually get a splash screen. So you can just, replace the assets. They're just like little subtle things that are there. We also make it a little bit easier for you. If you're not used to working with the linker configs and like, how do these work? We kind of show you how to use it and kind of give you some, some base things in there that we, kind of keep out. There are little things that we do as well. So instead of targeting Xamarin Essentials, we use Xamarin Essentials interfaces. So that way we show you how to, take advantage of the great APIs from Xamarin Essentials, but to do it in a way that keeps your code testable. Because the problem, and I've had this conversation with James a lot, but if you use Xamarin Essentials in a net standard library, you have just made any code that touches that completely untestable. Your problem is you're going to go run your tests probably in some net core app. And you can now not, like, you don't have a way to mock that. And the second that API gets touched from Xamarin Essentials, it will throw in a platform not implemented exception. All right. Yeah. So we do little things in the template that, kind of will make your life a bit easier.
Yeah. And folks in the chat room, if you don't know James, that's the Montemagno that Dan is talking about. Yep. He's one of the PMs and kind of spearheaded the whole Xamarin Essentials movement, which is something to be appreciated because it was all over the place, like the APIs and the wrappers. But Well,
I think half the APIs were just plugins that James had on his own. James is a great guy. Don't get me wrong. I love James to death. He is an awesome guy. We've just had the conversations about, what does this API design mean for people in terms of testability? So, so the one thing I've done here so far is you'll notice I've gone into the XAML and I've just updated with a Prism namespace. Prism was one of the very early adopters of this XMLNS definition, so you don't have to figure out what's the CLRI or the CLR namespace and what's the assembly. So anything that we give you to use, it's just this one namespace to remember. And I encourage other companies to use it. Hint, hint. Actually, I don't know if you've finally updated the Telerik controls for that yet.
So give me 10 minutes at the end. I'll try to show you something.
I know I recommended it a while ago, so
yeah.
Anyway, let's see.
So you're switching up what the app is bootstrapped as. It's instead of just app, it's a Prism application now.
Correct. Yep. So we're just going to change this out to. Why is it not giving me the implement? I think I might need to do a quick build on that to get this giving me the right suggestion. But basically, we will get an implement abstract class, and this gives us two different methods. Now, you'll notice that from the original template, we were setting main page in our constructor. We're going to get rid of that. And then we have this initialize component in our constructor. We're going to take that and we're going to put this in our onInitialized. And the reason that we want to do that is onInitialize gets called from the Prism application constructor, right? And so by putting it here, this ensures that everything gets initialized from XAML, which for this application, really not a big deal. But if we came in here and we started putting styles in a resource dictionary, those styles wouldn't be available when we navigate to our first page if we didn't do that first. So kind of a key thing to do there. So now what we're going to do, we have our main page here. Everybody thinks that you have to have the views and view models. That is the Prism convention, but you certainly don't. So I know some people prefer to do this. So you can have pages.
Yeah, especially if you come from a web or a Blazor background, you're very comfortable with pages and things like that.
Correct. So we'll just say, we'll call this view A. And then I am going to create a class in here and we'll call this view A view model. Okay. Because maybe, and I know people that will actually update the CS proj. So this view model will get nested under view A, the same as the code behind does.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's your convention, and there's nothing wrong with that convention if that's what you want to use. So I'll delete this main page. That way it's not there anymore. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to register for navigation. And I'm going to say view A. Oops. I'm going to say view A. Auto incorrect is going to make it something else. Model. Okay. And then we'll bring in that namespace here. All right. So now we have the mapping for our view and our view model. And even though it didn't follow the Prism convention, this will still work. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, code bases have some flexibility. Like it doesn't always need to be views and view models and yeah, and your data models. Yeah. Correct.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I got to do this the manual way. I don't have any of the key bindings on here. So we're going to say, make a title.
The Prism library page, by the way, I know you and Brian updated that. It looks nice.
That was all modern. Brian.
Yeah.
Brian was asking me, you know, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, I have no idea, dude. I'm working on Sponsor Connect. So, which actually, you know, this is going to be one of those squirrel things. I blame you, and it's all good. If I can, oops. So there is a brand new Sponsor Connect available, and you'll notice it's not just about me. So Brian Lagunas and Alan Ritchie are kind of participating in this a little bit. So if you're one of their sponsors, you'll actually be able to use Sponsor Connect now as well, which if you're you know, at a certain level or higher, could grant you access to a private NuGet feed, as well as a Discord. So definitely encourage people to check that out. It was a long time coming. And quick side story on Blazor, because that's all Blazor WebAssembly. It's actually using some Telerik controls, which look absolutely beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
Saved me a lot of time.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't know when Brian is going to be up. I mean, if you're hoping to have him join on this one, then I mean,
he wants to.
I mean, I'm happy to. So
it's too early for him.
Yeah, too early for him. And I don't know if he streams on Thursdays though, on his own thing.
I think he's gone down to just 1 day a week now. I don't know if it's going to be today, or I think he's only doing Tuesdays. I can't remember now. Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, so we have our view model here. And then, you know, we have some lifecycle events. So we can say, let's do I initialize. So this I initialize is going to be called a single time, the first time that we navigate to the view, and we get these navigation parameters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this title here, and I'm going to say parameters get value. It's a string, and I want the title. Okay. So this is my view model. You know, this is decoupled from my view. This is a testable thing. I mean, it's a very basic example, but you know, it's certainly there. And then,
Dan, I want you to answer this right, because I can speak a little bit, but go ahead. Does Prism work with .NET 5.0?
I suppose it would. I mean, it kind of depends on what you mean by works with, right? like I don't know what application framework you're using or anything else. So
like xamarin.forms right now, I would say like you're kind of catching them in the middle of migrating or kind of moving around what xamarin.forms is sitting on, like the runtimes, the Mono and dotNET Core getting together. I want to say like if you're using WPF on dotNET 5, like I don't see a reason why this would not
should work. Yeah, I mean anything WPF on dotNET 5 should be able to use anything that was built for .NET Core 3.1 or 3.0. Yeah. Well, I mean, just .NET Core period, right? Yeah. It's all encompassing of everything before it. So like you couldn't take a .NET 5 thing and bring it into .NET Core app, but you could bring .NET Core app forward to .NET 5. So I don't see why that wouldn't work. But yeah, like on Xamarin, I can't remember. I think they do support on the native platform. I think they're supporting now Net Standard 2.1, but I don't remember for sure on that. Yeah. But anyway, in our view, all I've done here is kind of just add a binding to our title, and let's actually make this centered so we'll be able to see it. This is one of those things I always thought was really dumb. Like you can tell an intern made this template. Like, why did you do this on the label and not the stack layout? Anyway, so let's go ahead and, almost forgot. One other thing, right? So we did our registration. We have our view. We have our view model. So we have our property and our view model. We've got the binding and the view. So the final thing that we need to do is come back here. We'll go to the navigation service. We'll navigate async, and then we're just going to say view A. Okay. And then we want to set that title. So there are two ways we could do this. We can either pass in some navigation parameters, or we can understand that Prism likes URIs. So we can say title equals hello, what is it? From,
we'll actually remember your Unicode.
I've had practice.
Yeah, I can tell.
So now there are a couple other things I'll kind of mention very quick here. So people love to do async wrong. They think that you have to await everything. And there is something to be said for that. We do provide an iNavigation result. If you want to look at that, like if you had an error, like let's say, throw here, just because I like a little humor. We're gonna have a new exception. Okay. So like, let's say that we had something that effectively did this in our constructor, right? When it doesn't matter if we say new view A or if the container tries to create view A, we're going to get a type initialization exception because an exception was thrown in the constructor. So obviously our navigation is going to fail. We'll have an exception that we need to look at, right? And so looking at those exceptions that could come back in a navigation result can be important. Well, Prism 8, actually, let me back up. So in Prism 7, right, you would have to say something like this, right? And then you could look at the result. In Prism 8, you can now not configure, wait. Where is the, I guess I need the Prism, need the namespace. On navigation error is a new method that we've given you. So you can now do something like console right line ex, right? So you can very easily do this. You're not having to make this async void. You don't have to await this. This will just all work. So if you did get, that error, you're going to be able to handle this now very easily in Prism 8. And let's pull that out, and then we'll run this.
Yeah, never mind. I was speaking while on mute.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, unfortunately, we have a hard stop at the top of the hour today because another stream is going on. So we have 23 minutes. So this is just the start of the navigation, and then you also wanted to mention region support, right?
Yep. So if we can get this built real quick, hopefully this won't take too long. We'll see how much this needs coffee this morning.
It's Thursday for Visual Studio as well.
Oh, good God. This should have built by now. You can tell I'm very patient in the morning. Come on.
So,
okay, well, yeah.
I mean, while it's building, let's say you're a fan of regions.
I love regions.
Okay.
Yep.
And you all have also mentioned like Shiny is something you are a fan of.
Correct.
What is that? Can you use it with Prism?
Yeah, so you can use Shiny, you can use reactive UI with your Prism application. You can use it with the regions. It all just kind of works. Recently, the last couple months, we added the GitHub discussions. And there was a question last week, I think it was, on how to handle is online, is offline. And so I have a response on there that, it is showing how you can use, Shiny with reactive UI as a base view model. So you have this nice mix of Prism with the reactive programming model using Shiny services as well. So
yeah, and there's been some good blog posts about it. I just posted one that I really liked. But yeah, you can mix and match. You can build your visual tree however you want.
Absolutely. So, and you'll see here, I mean, this is not the prettiest thing. This is just a very quick, dirty sample. But you can see how we have our hello from Twitch that came from that query string. So just very, very simple. I know people always say, oh, those frameworks, they're, really heavy. And no, this is very lightweight. I mean, I didn't write that much code.
Yeah, and honestly, the benefits of this is when you start getting to a point where you can't test, and you're not thinking about testing when you start writing your app because it's simple, but in no time it grows, and then you don't have testable code because you have not thought it through from the beginning.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's do a couple things. First of all, I'm going to install this dry IOC extensions. Can't tell, did that actually install? Okay, yes, it did. And then we're going to install reactive UI. So we're going to show you how I actually build my apps as well.
Oh, look at that, 1.8 million downloads.
Yep. And then we'll take Shiny Lib. Well, I guess it's Shiny Core, actually. And we'll go with the pre-release. Okay. So I know we're installing a whole bunch of packages really quick here.
Which we'll see. Like the Xamarin team is tossing around ideas on how to make this a little more smoother. So right now, like you're seeing Dan kind of install those packages in multiple projects. And sometimes we do have like native dependencies where some packages will just go into iOS, some go into Android. So if we are to look at the promise of like the single project thing, these are considerations that we have to think about.
Oh, for sure. I mean, effectively, in my mind, even though you might go down to a single project over here, you're still going to want, like, okay, I want this package, but install it for all of my targets or only for these targets. Just like you have with this.
Right, and multi-targeting can help, but like there are some edge cases where you may not want to do that. So yeah, I mean that's the future. We'll see what how that flushes out with .NET 6.
Yep. All right. So a couple things here. So I'm also going to edit my project file real quick. I'm just going to change Prism dry IOC forms down to Prism forms, just because it's a little quicker than doing it through the UI. So some things we're going to do, and I know this is going to be really quick because we've got like 15 minutes. So I'm going to create, an app startup here. There's one other package actually I want, and that is Shiny Prism. Alan really appreciated that I stole his namespace on the package. And so we're going to say Prism startup. Okay. So now you can come in here and you can do, whatever you need to with Shiny. That Shiny. So I'll say use services, use job foreground service, right? And you can say time span, minutes, every 30 minutes, right? So maybe you have something you need to do there. So you can register any services that Shiny has in here. And this will work with Prism. So anything that you register is just going to work everywhere. There should also be, if I recall correctly, I put it in here. I guess I didn't. I'll have to fix that in the next version. So the next version, there will also be an iContainer registry one. So that way you have it. But anything that you register here will be available throughout your entire application. And then if we set up Shiny, so we'll just come in here, we'll say using Shiny, and then this dot finish launching. No, Shiny finish launching. So app startup. So now my application is ready for Shiny.
I see. Okay.
That's pretty much it. The only other thing we need to do, remember, I did get rid of, I did get rid of the Prism dry IOC forms. So here I actually do need the Prism, not common, but it's just Prism and Prism forms. And then we're going to say Prism application base. Change this. And there is one additional method that we need to implement, and that's this create container extension. And so all we need to do there is Prism container extension dot current. And what we should be able to do as well, this is definitely better. It helps with the linker and everything as well. Is we can do a create container extension in here.
I like the syntax as well, like how you're using just a delegate to let it do its thing, the initialization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically what's going to happen is, in Prism WPF, we had the service locator, the common, like from the common service locator package.
Yep.
We got rid of that dependency. We built basically our own internal to Prism, which helped WPF, and it also helps with Shiny because now we can create the container here within Shiny, and then we can see that that container has already been initialized, and we can continue to use it. So all of that works. Our app, I mean, you saw me just in a couple minutes set this up for Shiny, and that was literally all we need to do. Now, on our view model, let's make this reactive object. So now we've changed up here. This dot raise. I never do this manually anymore. No, I always use the FODI extension, so I'm like, hold on, wait, how do you do this manually again?
The what? The what extension?
So they have a FODI package. So you just add an attribute to your property, and then it does all the hard work for you.
Interesting.
So, actually typing it isn't something I'm used to doing anymore. So now, like, let's say that we want to take something from Shiny. How about we'll go from shiny.net, right? And so we can say public view model, and we'll say I connectivity. So you didn't see me register this anywhere. This is coming from Shiny. So just by having Shiny, I have access to this. Now I can come in here and I can say, okay, so when the internet status changed, and this is in iObservable, right? So I can pipe this into whatever I need to. And, look at GitHub discussions, and it'll kind of show you how to implement that. Now on the regions, I always hate this nesting with this content page here, or the content. So let's come in here, and we're going to have a content view, and let's bring in that Prism namespace. And I'm going to say Prism region manager, region name, main region. Okay. That's all I'm going to do there. And then I am going to add a content. Well, we'll create a content view, but we'll change it here. Or, I mean, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a content view per se. So we'll say view B. Probably terrible naming, by the way. I don't recommend doing this.
Yeah, just to prove a point.
Yeah, it's just to prove a point, exactly. So hello, Prism region, okay. And so now what we'll do is we'll come back to our app, and I'm gonna say container registry, oops, not container, container registry, register region services. And then I am going to register for region navigation down at the bottom there. So I'm just going to do view B. I haven't bothered in this particular case to create a view model. In a real application, you obviously would. And then the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to come back over here, and I'm going to inject the region manager.
So while you're doing that, guess who's lurking in the chat room? Brian, we miss you, man. We wish you were here. We'll have you on sometime maybe. But we are both in the exact same house. Like, we built the same fireplace and the same piano, and just 2 stories of the same house. We are literally sitting above and below each other. Yeah. Let us know, chat room, if you want us to go and play the piano. We are just going to probably stumble over our green screens, but we can try.
Yeah. Yeah, my green screen is so close it's touching. I really wish GoPro would update their little app. In any case.
Yeah, some of the familiar faces in the chat room. Ancient Coder, Copper Beardy is here. Silicon Orchid is here. Yeah, good to see all of you.
Awesome.
I know, like, some of you may have been coming in early. We are doing a Love Connections thing. That's going to be in 7 minutes at the top of the hour, while we are finishing up here with what's new with Prism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've injected my region manager, and then I just say request navigate to my main region, which is what we called it in our view. And then I want the view B view in there. So yes, Brian, that's why we're sharing a room, because we just wanted to be a little bit closer.
I'll say this. I mean, Dan and me love each other, but our team is actually going to be like the Grinches who try to ruin Valentine's Day. So we will not let you order roses. Like, we're okay with every other flower, but it should be a little fun.
Well, I always refer to it as SAD. Singles Awareness Day. Yeah. Anyway. So so you can see the code here is really not that difficult. It's just a couple of very simple concepts you need to learn. But once you do this, we're able to now navigate. And if I didn't forget something, this should theoretically run.
All right. Fingers crossed. How long do we have? 5 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Code Life says it's in 5. If this builds, I'll take 1 minute to show you something, if I can, that I think might make you happy. Build succeeded. So Visual Studio woke up a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So Brian is on today. Yeah, there you go. We're all co-streamers.
Everybody only has 1 hour today.
Hey, we can't hang out in person. At least we can be with each other online.
Okay. So seems I forgot something. But I will. I'll fix that post stream here and get that up on GitHub. So just go to my GitHub. So it's just github.com/Dan Siegel. Only Twitter is at Dan J. Siegel, because there was another Dan Siegel already there. Never knew that my name was so popular until I wanted my domain and a Twitter account.
All right, so we got 4 minutes. Shall we risk?
I'll let you take over. Yeah, go for it.
All right, hang in there for just 1 second. Let me see if I can quickly switch this up. All right, and we will. I'm using a new thing here. It's a different setup where I'm using my iPad, because Apple Sidecar thing seems pretty cool.
I love Sidecar.
Yeah. All right, so you are looking at my desktop here. So just to kind of quickly show you that everything that you see with Prism, like, this is real. And you can absolutely build real stuff with this, and it's production ready. So again, I work for Progress Telerik. So if I go into our WPF controls, which is a huge suite of love for all of the UI stuff, down in here, you're going to see we list out some sample applications that we built. This is for the community to kind of, these are all kind of things we give you, so you can take a look at a full source code of a real application that's built. We have a color theme generator, which is pretty cool as well. Lets you start from a theme. Now, this one I really like. It's a CRM application, as real world as it can get. It's very heavy. So in my Windows box, if my Visual Studio will wake up today, let's see, we got 3 minutes. We can do this. We can do this. All right, and I'm going to pull up the WPF app that we put out.
I'm surprised you didn't wake it up while I was talking.
No, I know, I should have. Yeah, I was having a conversation with some Xamarin folks today. Like Sidecar it's cool, but the whole touch thing is debatable. Like, how much touch do you want? It lets you
do lots of touch.
I know, but I'm in the camp where I don't want to touch my desktop applications, but I can see the benefit.
Yeah, but think of it this way. You know, if you've got the iOS simulator or you have an Android emulator on the screen, exactly I want to be able to touch it.
Yeah, that's exactly what David Ortner was saying. All right, so in here, if I look into my dependencies here, all right, you see that? And let's see if I can.
Beautiful.
Win. Yeah, there you go.
Beautiful.
So Prism 8 with Unity is what we're using. I'm going to take, we have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to take a stab at running this real quick. What is that noise?
I don't know. It just got really loud.
Is that you or me?
Definitely me.
All right. Oh, come on. Build. Just have it quick. But I mean, this is what I wanted to say. Those Telerik guys know their stuff. Thank you, Brian. No, what I wanted to show was Prism 8. Like, this is real because we are using it. We just wanted to showcase that. I mean, here's a fully baked production app. Where is my? Hang on. Why can't I not just run this thing? It is set up as start a project. Just go run it. So it's using the same things that you just said, the container registries. I think we use regions in some place, and this whole source code is out in the open, so folks, you can go take a look.
Well, regions are, that is how you navigate in a WPF app.
Yeah. So this is a fully baked WPF app, obviously showcasing some of our UI. But what I'm trying to show you is, like, take a look at how rich and how much data we have, how many views we have. Mm-hmm. These are all kind of list views that are data bound through Prism, and it's all working really nicely. And we are using Unity as our IOC, and it's a fully baked app that is running with Prism 8. Okay, so we are at time. So beautiful. let me go ahead.
I'm sure Brian actually loves that you guys are using that.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? We got enough to share. So, folks, thank you, Dan and Brian in the chat room. Thank you for doing what you do for your open source work. We love Prism. There is so much it enables, and thank you. And thank you, chat room, everybody who's been here with us. Thank you so much. If you need to know what's happening with Prism, that's this way. Yeah, there you go. That's Dan, the man. There's Brian, the man. You have their Twitter handles right there. Go check out their GitHub repos. Go check out Prism. Go use it in your xamarin.forms or Uno or WPF apps. You will be more productive, I bet.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Thank you, folks. And folks who are here for the Love Connection, let me drop here, and then you're going to see the stream come right back up. Okay. Thank you, and I'll see you next Thursday for the .NET Dev Show. Okay. Bye-bye.